Kano and I welcome you. We're Spirit Nations. And, the first thing that I want to do is just kind of go through a little bit of what we're about. And I know you see all the signs that say team. And team in this one has two eyes because it's a team here, it's a team there. It's not, there's not an I in team. There's not a negative thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to do all positive to get people in this industry farther and easier with what we have available. So we have a company that also, we'll call it the farm, that's where it's growing. Then we have people who are running the farms. So we have teamed up with these to have different sections so that way we can offer things on how to get in this industry actually a lot easier instead of being the big guy who's putting $15 million into a facility, growing. They got to get a whole team, which costs a lot of money. So that's what we're doing here. We've got Vaughn here. We'll start off with him. He's going to talk a little bit. He does the hemp, medical marijuana, and then I'll have different people just talk on that, and someone who can talk numbers. I believe that's Andrew, right?
We're going to bother Andrew.
We're going to bother Andrew. He'll come up. But just briefly on what you have, because what I want it to be like, what we talked about is, a very easy environment to go and ask questions, understand a little bit more to where, if you start asking questions in this, guy might go, I don't want to, there's too many people here. Somebody might think I don't know what I'm talking about. We want to make sure that it's easy. So go to the table, you can have one-on-ones at any time, go and talk, just like we were out there. But we can talk more about what we have to offer, what you're looking for, because we also don't know what everyone's looking for. So
it's been over 24 months, some 30 months plus, right, that we've worked on this, and really the energies have brought us to cannabis. That's why I stand here. Cannabis and hemp as a relative, right, as a tribal member, we believe that's an entity. That's not a plant. That's my relative. It's a living being. We all know what these properties can do, but in this meeting today, you see, we don't have 100 people here. That was on purpose. We have specific folks here that are specialized in their ability, because each one of you is an expert in your field. And each one of you have heard me talk about this structure, how I'm going to bring cannabis together with healthcare and all these things, right? But at the end of the day, the first thing we have to do is embrace the farm, like Juice says, right? These experts here very well know, right? We have to embrace that license, right? Cannabis, 4 tiers of cannabis licensing in Arizona. Andrew Young very well knows I could have sold out so many times, right? Could have signed into that guy, and they all wanted access to tribal things or sovereignty that Vaughn's talking about. But as I stand here today, the access to the farm, as we talk about, and the ability to set up distribution, but also manufacturing, right? A processing center. It's important that this few people, right? Because Guy is representing quite a few people as well, hemp and cannabis. And as we've talked, right, Chad, we've literally not tried to sell each other. And that's not a sale today. Today is as important as a team, right? I believe that I know that cannabis and hemp are the next product of the United States. It's what we do. So in Arizona, we have a small state. There's only 3 major cities. You guys have operated in places that you had to do a lot more logistics than we would ever have to here, right? Right, but I wanted to just express that right now I want to create a team. I see each individual. Shelley, for instance, thank you for being here, Shelley. I've spoken a lot. We've discussed what we can create, right, with real estate in a sovereign place. Dave here being Potawatomi elder, that changes things. If we have a joint venture and we're working in Michigan, Wisconsin, it changes things because now you're tribally embraced, and we talk about economic development. So moving to the farm, it's bringing together, right? We have investors, we have all these abilities, but how are we going to embrace this market right now? for me, as I go to the dispensaries and so forth in Arizona, they're really leaving a lot of things on the table. Talked about hospice patients, we talked about all these things, but at the end of the day, how can I prove, right, to our individuals, to our constituents, to ourselves, that what does 100K in mean with Spirit Nations? What is the out for the return of investment, right? What does it mean to sell some pre-rolls? Well, we have experts in here that can explain exactly what has happened, right? What you've created, what you've done with your brands. And, you know, I called Andrew Young out. He's watched this progress from the get-go, right? We've done media, we've done all this entertainment. And like I said, I'm very confident in the information because he's guided me to reality. We went and we stepped to the side and let the green rush happen. Everybody just wanted to sell weed. You know, hey, we're selling drugs. And then we brought experts to the table and reminded, well, first of all, that's my relative. It's not a drug. Second of all, I'm American Indian. That's kind of my plant. Third, this is my country, North America. Fourth, we're in Arizona. We have 3 major cities. To me, it's the frontier of recreational healthcare that will be embraced by cannabis. But first, we have to show the numbers and make an impact as an industry. And that's what I want to move to. So if we're asking for finance, we're asking for numbers, what does that mean, right? And I don't mean to call you out completely, but kind of, if you would, as a third party, Andrew, you could explain what our journey, you know Crow, Dave, and I, right? You've seen us. You watched us in the time when we had jars of weed this big, right? We don't have those jars like that anymore, right? It's a whole different world. Now we have the largest property in Arizona that's licensed. We have access to somebody's white label house, and they're just putting brands out. With this expertise, we can hit healthcare. We can hit economic development levels. But with this team, and briefly, just if you don't mind, Andrew, just kind of express the journey, but express how close we've been to expressing and embracing medical cannabis. Hemp, we've been friends with these 2 products, right, and these two relatives, but we also put a lot of money in expressing education, right?
That's right.
But what is just off the top of our heads, what does $100,000 into the Arizona market of just buying product mean when you embrace it with a brand like this, for instance, and what you've seen us do, so again, you breathe this, so I have full confidence, I would not want to coach you. I'd rather have a third party element.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity, Kano.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
thank you again for having me, Spirit Nations. I've been a supporter of the brand of Clandestine for over 5 years now. We actually got introduced in doing a lot of community building here in Phoenix. It's kind of a passion project of mine of building the community to allow for connection because it's all about health, living a healthy lifestyle. It's not just one element, it's a lot of different elements, but I believe that hemp and cannabis is that gateway to feeling better, whether it be having that ability to relax a little bit through psychoactivity or subtly through CBD and other minor cannabinoids, to be able to be open-minded to other alternative medicines. And I think that that's what's happening right now is the evolution of natural medicines. And that's exactly what Kano and Clandestine and Spirit Nations we've been working on from day one. We really see the commonality of these particular different alternative resources for people that are suffering right now. Everybody's suffering from one particular ailment or another, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be spiritual. All of those elements really create unhappiness, and I think that hemp and cannabis has really kind of opened people's eyes to something that maybe they were lied to. There's a lot of stigma that is associated with that. I think that with the current cannabis market, the way it's evolved right now and its focus in on psychoactivity, like Kano had mentioned, there is a lot on the table there. The plant has an intention, and it's been unfolding in a certain way of being accepted by the current cultures, and through psychoactivity it's been embraced because of what it can do. And I think that there's a lot more on to this plant that can be really utilized, and I think the hemp and CBD market has really kind of taken a more holistic approach to the plant and the utilization into day-to-day life and activities. And the current medical market has really taken the psychoactivity and the recreational side, but I think through access, through licensing that has the ability to utilize the full complex of cannabinoids through the cannabis plant and put into a processing and products in a certain way that can make a significant impact in people's lives, and not just focus in on the 100% THC and trying to get people as high as they can, but also utilizing the full spectrum elements of the plant and providing a full wellness routine. And cannabis is one facet of that. I think that there's other elements of alternative medicines that can be combined into a particular lifestyle or a particular regimen to help those that are in need, especially on the Native American reservations that may not have been introduced to this, may not have any context to what these mean and how it can impact into their personal life. And I think with Spirit Nations, combining the clandestine brand and its ethos of entertainment, because when you're connected to your community, if you're having fun, that's something that lifts your spirit. And I think that combining all of these methods, all these elements into a particular example that people can follow is really important and very special. And that's exactly why I'm here today, is because of all of this really creates something that I think can change the world. And I think there's a lot of opportunities working with the tribal nations, and I think that we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to the planet to be able to put our efforts towards making a better world for not only ourselves but everybody else.
Yeah, we call
So,
that spirit coin.
thank you for this opportunity. It's been a journey working with Clandestine Live. Producing various episodes, going down to the state capitol and, being on the Senate floor, and, it's been fun. It's been amazing. I'm really excited for the future of what this holds, and I'm here to help facilitate in any way, shape possible. It's been my life's journey to dedicate it towards this plant. It's been over a decade of myself from the very beginning of putting in 6 licenses for the first lottery here in Arizona when it became medical, to helping the current recreational bill that got passed, and protesting on the sidewalks, to speaking with my representatives at the state capitol, to holding meetings, to being a stakeholder, an investor. I've seen the whole industry from the inception of the cannabis industry to the evolution to hemp and CBD, and helping facilitate it beyond. So I have a unique perspective of what's happened, the opportunities that are available, and how to utilize that to benefit a whole.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And we have that audio. As we're family here, Ruben was calling in. Ruben was not a lot of folks couldn't make it because of the exposure and COVID. But Ruben, I have you on speaker here, and it's really a small group. It's our family members, our teammates here. But I can't wait till you meet Chad and Sam and Guy. But Ruben here is going to explain a little bit about the banking, the Spirit Coin that we're launching. We can send links right now, and I'm just going to open it up for you, Ruben. Again, it's the family, it's the team here. So tell us how we're launching the Spirit Token, the Spirit Coin, embracing that indigenous bank. Here you go, Ruben.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, first apologize, I couldn't make it there today due to some of this exposure, like Kano said, and then quarantine when we come back. So, yeah, I'm from California. My background is in healthcare. I've also been in several cannabis ventures in Northern California, starting from 2014. One of the partners I took out there, they're in a publicly traded company right now. So we do have some knowledge in regards to putting up facilities, licensing, so on and so forth. Throughout the ventures, some of the people I've worked with in the past, they're in the money service business internationally, and collaborating and working with Kano, Bahan, and the team, we have an opportunity to bring a digital platform in the digital economic space, like e-commerce, and more of digital token, basically, like with Spirit Nation, and the main thing is called Tribal DeFi. Since we're friends and family, this basically, we do have the technology ready. They're working on the back end. The technology has been in existence and in use for different parts of the banking on an international level. The interest that the company that came in down here, that's going to be called Tribal DeFi. It's going to be working with indigenous, underserved population, and some of the new tokenization that's coming into reality in the next year or two. And as you see, everything is evolving. One of the components in the Tribal DeFi will be the Spirit token, which is going to be involved in the cannabis section with collaboration with different brands, with Spirit Nation. So that will be in fruition and launched within the next 30 days. So we will have an official business plan. I sent Kano, since it's friends and family, we're not doing investor pitch and something on that magnitude. So I've shared the website, and everything will be officially launched, the business plans and all that stuff. We can circulate that within the next week to 2 weeks. Initial will be an ICO on the Spirit token side, which people can participate in a closed loop network. The Spirit Nation will also have their own wallet where people could download the wallet and have access to the ICO. The phase 2 will be putting that actual digital token onto various blockchains. There's a few native American blockchains that are coming into light right now, and also the traditional Ethereum, Polygon, Binance. Those are all avenues we can definitely put on. The team behind the technology has been doing this for about 25, 30 years, so they're well versed. They do have existing companies. They've also done technology for some of the banks in our states, basically. So they know compliance, and they've done this in the past, and they're currently doing it. And so, with the KYC regulations, so on and so forth. So we can give you in-depth overview on the business plan, but just, friends and family we're sharing this with, and so everything will kind of be exposed to the public within the next 30 days. So we're very excited to collab with Kano, Bahan, and the team, and various nations within the indigenous population, and we're excited to bring this to market. We're going to be doing good to the community, and I think it's also a great business avenue for a lot of folks. So thank you so much for your time. Any questions I can answer, I'll be more than happy to.
Excellent. Thank you, Ruben. I'll definitely share the link, and there's a lot of folks that we're recording this and we'll share this, right? And there will be questions, I'm sure. But again, each of us have access to connect with Ruben directly so we can understand that. Basically, for the layman is, right, we have an indigenous token launching that's connected to an indigenous wallet and online banking, right? For the layman, we're making the Spirit Nation's bank, if you will, Spirit Coin. And we all know what that means in cannabis, right? It's a whole...
And plus, we're talking to various tribal institutions right now for some of the affiliate stuff. So we can share more about that once those contracts have been executed. But that is the goal, and we do have the resources, and we are currently in the middle of all that. So within 30 days, you guys will see everything kind of locked down, and we're very excited to share this with you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ruben.
Just as a background, I've been in Native country for the last maybe 8 years, working with tribal governments directly. I established the first hospice care in U.S. history on tribal lands in the largest tribe in the United States, the Navajo Nation, under the presidential mandate. And that led me to the Senate. I did a testimony there, which kind of opened up a lot of doors in Native country for the need to pay attention to palliative and terminal illness patients as soon as possible, because in Native country they're really suffering and they have no idea that that type of actually service exists. So there's a lot of red tape in Native country. So fortunately I was able to be vetted out over the years. I became an authorized agent for me to build their 5th casino. So I went into the gaming arena, and then I started working with veterans in the community. And then eventually we ended up at the Sioux Nation. So I became the authorized delegate for the Oshedi-Shakowin Treaty Government of the Sioux Nation under the headsman there. So they gave me a lot of jurisdiction and power for me to address the things that Kano always talks about, which is healthcare, economic development, and the use of medicinal cannabis, for both healthcare and economic development. So throughout the years, I published several books, both on ancient history and language, and then I published my 4th book called The Tipping Point, which would address the COVID impact in native country, and also how it would deplete their gaming revenues over the last 30 years, because COVID was a huge problem. It still is in native country because they don't have the healthcare infrastructure to address all that. IHS is not coming to the rescue so quickly, so it kind of affects native health and their prosperity and so forth. So throughout the years also, I had a lot of connections with Harvard doctors who use the medicinal cannabis for their patients. Hospice patients who are terminally ill, have the last 6 months to live, can really benefit from medicinal cannabis. It's just that there's a lot of red tape. FDA and the pharma are in bed with one another, so they don't want to have that to be part of the regimen in hospice. But actually that's turning the corner. We think that it's going to be legalized this year federally, even though the states are legal in certain states. But still, we want to ensure that we still are in the game as this transition comes through. We do have the opportunity for us to test and address our model here in Arizona. We do have the capabilities now to kind of address both the recreational as well as the medicinal cannabis. As far as for the medicinal cannabis and hemp, I wrote 2 pieces on that, and I'll send you the PDFs of that so that way you can have it in your emails and you can share with people. 2 of these publications have really been circulating across tribal nations, including Wall Street. At the same time, my message to the White House was responded by Biden himself. I have a letter from the Biden administration from the White House with their address of what I was telling them regarding the bad access we have when it comes to healthcare. It was very inclusive. So I talked about native health, inaccessibility to quality care. I talked about the veterans' health problems. So in essence, I spoke about everything that we see as a problem. So fortunately, the response from the White House opens up a huge door for us to be heard. From the clinical standpoint, from a business standpoint, and I think that it kind of also drives and gives us some energy to move forward and move as if. In other words, we have the capabilities, we have the resources, why not come together to address all this? And the good thing is that we have a lot of tribal leaders who are supporting us. It's one thing that you want to help tribal nations, but you don't have that support. It's different when you have individuals from the tribes who want to see something better to happen in their communities, to remove the red tape, for them to be as one with the rest. Many of the tribal hospitals, which is controlled by Indian Health Service, it's a federal entity, by the way. Don't let the word Indian deceive you. It's a federal entity that is trying to pretend to help, but it's not. It has received $500 billion since 1955, and there's nothing to show for it. In other words, if an elder, let's say, has 6 months to live or less, gets discharged from a hospital, they will never know that they qualify for hospice care, for home care. They have the opioid crisis, right? Opioids were introduced in native country by IHS. Now they're pretending to fix it with getting more capital. So it's a money laundering scheme all the time, while the tribal members are suffering. They think there's nothing else for them. We need to give them the opportunity for them to know that, listen, if I walk across the street, I can go to Dr. Smith with better health care, more access to medicinal cannabis, access to stuff that I don't really get on the reservation. At the same time, most of the Native Americans live off the reservation, about 75%. So they are exposed to all the things that we see. It's just that they need to know that it exists. So it is a very complicated problem, but we have a complicated method that will address their needs right away. In other words, the more we speak like this, the more they'll see that there is an opportunity for better things. And medicinal cannabis is one of the ways that they're trying to embrace now. As you can see, more and more news are coming forward that Native country is trying to embrace cannabis. Cannabis and hemp has been their ancestral plant for thousands of years. They know the stuff. They know how to cultivate it. They have been using it as part of their medicine man tactics and so forth, but the pharma and Congress scared them to death. Now they think it's not theirs, so we don't want to touch it and stuff like that. We're not even talking about THC getting high. We're talking about a miracle plant that could assist them with not being in pain all the time. We even have now surgery centers that are giving people pure CBD for their back pain. So in other words, the authority is taking over versus people's logic and rationality of how it can be used. So even medical doctors right now, with the COVID thing, because there's a divide in opinion, it's because the medical doctors are fighting amongst themselves, or we as the common folk are like leaves in the wind. Some people say that COVID is so severe that we need to do X, Y, and Z. On the other side of the medical community thinks that no, we have treatments and stuff like that. So as you can see, it's not a conspiracy theory where there is a fight over. We have people in the scientific community are fighting with one another for the same, on the same topic. So we need to reflect this in our pathway towards what we do with the cannabis, with the medicinal cannabis. And I think that we have the opportunity for us to do that. We have the resources, we have the license, we have the manufacturing capabilities, we have the location that we can do it. It's just a matter of coming together. And we do have a lot of support, both political support, we have business support, we have support all the way till the White House. And I think that with us together, we can make it happen much quicker. Right now, it's who comes in first at the moment. It's not an idea anymore. It's really who's going to pull the trigger, and I think that we're the team that we can. We have medical doctors in our team. We have tribal members in our team who can give us guidance. We have medicine men in part of our team. We never had a situation where the non-natives and natives have come together under one house with all the support that we can get for us to create a healthcare and economic development progress, both in native country and beyond. I get calls from the veterans from the reservation that they don't know what to do because they need a knee surgery, and everywhere there's a line of 2.5 years. It shouldn't happen. We're in the United States, we're on their lands, and they still can get a proper surgery done. Now, that example actually should be generalized across native country and beyond because there are veterans involved. Native Americans give off the largest concentration of veterans in the United States. So if we're assisting a native elder, very likely they're a veteran. So if they're a veteran, then you talk to other veterans across the nation. Fortunately, now we have the Veterans Affinity, which has more than 2 million veterans in our team. And its founder is Rick Kryberg out of Arizona, who's a former U.S. Command Sergeant Major. In other words, we have him as part of this because obviously he sees the benefit of medicinal cannabis for the people, both mentally and physically. So I'm here to show you that I'm one of the examples that I have walked the walk. I'm coming from the trenches. I'm telling you this as a colleague. I'm telling you all this as a tribal official. I'm telling you this as a businessman. And I'm telling you this as a human being, that we do have a shot in putting all this together with everybody's assistance. So I want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I can address that. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
guys for coming. I mean, Clandestine and what they're doing for the community and the kids today cannot be beat.
It's not about fame, it's not about power, it's love is our true aim.